Yo, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Sports Day Thursday, episode 4. Uh, Last week was really short, so kind of want to make up for it this week. Gonna try to keep it under an hour, but I got some cool stuff tonight. Something that's always asked, or something that's always wanted in the hat community is how do I make my older hat, or this hat that got crushed by unknowledgeable eBay seller? How do I fix it up? How do I clean it? How do I reshape it, etc.? If you don't have a New Era recap, which is something New Era made, I want to say a couple years back, that's basically just like this half blow up thing that lets you restore hats the shape wise and stuff. Um, Recap of last week, I did like a 10-minute long video at the D-backs field, Chase Field, just kind of showing what it has to offer. Went through the Team Authentic store, the Team Issued store. I always call it Team Issued store, but it's not the Authentic store. The actual team store, and then I showed off some parts of that. There used to be a minor league only store, but I think it's near the end of the season, so they kind of just mashed it all down into one store. Um, but yeah, a real short video. I was walking around holding a camera, showing hats at the same time in a public place, which was kind of interesting. Uh, I didn't expect. I kind of went during a like downtime at the concourse, so there wasn't many people around. I didn't have to fight through crowds or anything like that, as there wasn't one anyway. But yeah, it was a good time. Kind of a short episode, but like I said, I want to try to make that up with this one with some cool stuff. Fit of the night, since hockey season is approaching. Boston Bruins. This was one that was a Ross find. I think a bunch of people ended up getting these at Ross. Pretty, pretty good fitting hat. Uh, and then new pickups. Hat Club, I think, dropped the Camels today. The Camels two-tone custom and a couple other customs. I was able to find it in store. Uh, got one of these bad boys. Really, really nice. Somebody was saying on, I want to say it was on Instagram. I don't remember his username, but he was saying he got his and the foam was sticking out on some parts of it. Foam, if you didn't know, foam it lets the stitching be raised. It's actually like stitched over a little piece of foam. Uh, I don't think that's the case on mine. I don't see any over protruding foam. A couple, maybe in this little neck curve right here, like he actually was saying in there. But overall, it's not too bad. Doesn't look bad. The stitching is pretty sweet on this. The way they are able to show the detail and the colors and stuff like that, pretty awesome. Uh, but yeah, made in USA. This actually went through restoration process too already since I've gotten it. It had some bumps in the crown that is kind of commonplace in USA made hats now in this era. You want to say this year, especially. It had some waviness in the crown, and it still kind of has it, but not as bad. Before it was pretty skewed to one side, but fix it up. Uh, and then also just want to kind of recap Joe's show since it was yesterday. He did a great job going over the UHC contestants, which was awesome. Got to know what each of them are about, what each of them, some of the things you wouldn't know just by reading their bios on the descriptions for the Lids contest. What up, Professor? How's it going? It's still kind of early. Got 5 viewers, so that's pretty solid. Uh, but one of the questions that not got to me, but kind of hit me was, how do you give back to the hat community? And I just thought like, well, how do I give back to the hat community? And I tried to think of a couple things, and honestly, it just kind of came back around to helping people out. I think maybe doing these videos is part of it, because I'd like to think I'm doing it for, trying to give you something to watch, give you something to view. So that was kind of part of it. And then back to the helping thing. One of my buddies asked me to pick these up for him at the Authentic store. Was on the way out and made like a second round trip back to their third, even maybe. Got a bunch of these for him. These are all team issued postseason hats. They were buy one get one free, so I think he got everyone in his size, because these team issued are USA made. When at retail they're not usually. But yeah, so he got 4 hats. I think it was like $17 a piece after the BOGO. But this is something that I always try to do for people. If I'm going somewhere where there may be hats of interest, I always put out um, in Team Fitted, or sometimes on Instagram I'll post like I'm there, and then if someone asks me about something, I'll definitely hook them up with it if possible. Uh, yeah, and last year I did the Arizona Fall League Team Fitted tour, I guess you can call it. I went to every ballpark in the Arizona Fall League and picked up hats for people along the way. I think there's 6 ballparks, not very many, but some of them are about 10 minutes away, some of them are about 45 minutes away to an hour. But made the trip out to every single one to make sure that we saw some baseball, but also to make sure that got people hooked up with their hats, which was pretty sweet. Um, Kind of a cool adventure to go on. It's basically just the Arizona spring training facilities that Arizona Fall League takes place. The teams are Scottsdale Scorpions, the Mesa Solar Sox, the Glendale Desert Dogs, Peoria Javelinas, the Surprise Saguaros, and then the Grand Canyon, or not Grand Canyon, that's their old name, the Salt River Rafters. All play at their relative home field, which is a spring training facility for MLB team. Uh, and they only sell the singular hat, like that team's hat, at that team's park. So you can't go to Salt River and ask for a Scorpions hat, if that makes sense. Uh, so you kind of have to go around if for the on fields. They do have a booth set up for spring training, which is kind of cool, and they sell out of that. Um, but yeah, so I'll be doing that again this year. Starts in I think 25 days or something like that. So if you have something you want right now, and it doesn't matter what it may be, hit me up. Uh, DM me on Instagram, FittedGuy16. Um, Twitter, if you're on Twitter, I don't think anyone. Swartzy16 on Twitter. And then if you're on Facebook and you friends with me or in Team Fitted, you can DM me on there. I would love to help you out with those. I know those sometimes are hard to come by. Hat Club kind of made it easier with their customs. Um, but I can get you the on fields if that's your kind of thing. Let's see. So back to the group. We're all doing football picks now, which is kind of cool. We'll be keeping track of it, kind of like ESPN does, where they keep track of everyone's picks. D-Lock and BQ are on that. And then back to, this is a Brandios hat, so back to this, kind of reminded me of it. Brandios is responsible for a lot of the minor league logos. They're even responsible for some of the Reds BP logos, Mr. Red on a hat. That was kind of their doing. But something that I not always noticed, but I talked about today with a Twitter group that I'm in, that Brandios has some trademarks in a lot of their logos that you can see throughout every single logo they've ever done, if that makes sense. Not ever done, but most of them. So one of them is this right here. We were calling it the Brandios Snarl. If you go back and look through a bunch of Brandios' redesigns or logos, they all have some sort of snarl to their, if it's a face logo, if that makes sense. You can go back. We made some list of Baby Cakes, Rumble Ponies, even just the recent ones, the Jumbo Shrimp. All of those all have snarls. You can even find more, even not even baseball related. And then for baseball related, they like to do swinging logos. They do like the swinging Friar logo, they did the swinging Emerald, the swinging Chihuahua, stuff in that sense, which kind of makes sense for the Chihuahua because it's a Padres affiliate, which is kind of cool. But they have done a lot of swinging logos, so it's kind of was a funny thing that I noticed today, that there's some kind of theme to all of Brandios' work, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, exactly. I think that's their look, their go-to. So like, if you put a snarl on something, it makes whatever logo that it's on or in, however you want to say it, look meaner. So for a baseball standpoint, it looks more, scary or competitive. But yeah, and another thing Joe kind of shortly mentioned was a database. Something that I do is I use Flickr for online database, like tracking, I guess. It's run by Yahoo. You need a Yahoo email to set it up, but basically you just take pictures. You can create albums, and it keeps track of your pictures per album and pictures in total. So if you just upload pictures of your hats, you'll know how many you have. You can set the albums to teams, customs, whatever you may want to put it to. Know how many each of those you have, Super easy. The only time-consuming part is catching up on your collection. If you are just starting and you've never done it before, I think the first time I did it, I had to take like 150 hat pictures, which took a while. But if you kind of keep up with it on your recent purchases, like 3 at a time, 4 at a time, you can know what you have. And then the best part about it is, say you're out and about, you could be on a vacation, whatever it may be. You pull up Flickr if you're looking at hats and say, hey, do I have this? You pull up Flickr, you look and see, okay, I don't have it. So I can, if I like it, I'm going to buy it. Or you do have it and it's okay, I'm good. For some people, I sound crazy right now, but when you get up into the 100, even 100 hats, sometimes you forget, sometimes you don't know what you have exactly. I know every time I look in my bin, I always, or like my storage bins, I always remember, hey, I have that hat. So that was one way that I database it. It's kind of a little bit easier than Joe's way, but Joe's way is more in depth. That was just something my buddy Click taught me. I kind of took up on it, and I think my name, you can just look up my name on there and find me. You can follow people and see what people upload to if that's what you want to use Flickr for. And I don't know if anyone saw my Instagram post the other day about my minor league hats. It's kind of what I was doing, just kind of taking an inventory, and I had about 117 total at that time. And now I want to say +5 to that. I forgot to tell that I had 5 hats come in the mail today, but my girlfriend picked them up on the way to work, so they're actually with her right now in her car. So I couldn't show them off today. So that'll be on next week's show. But yeah, so that would be all 5 of those were minor league hats, so that brings me up to 122, which is I think around near a half of my collection. So there's a theme of my show. What up, Marin? I saw your comment. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover. New releases. Diane's doing his throwbacks releases tomorrow. Those are going to be crazy cool. And then check MLB minor league stores for sales. Right now, there's some crazy sales going on. The Sounds are doing 60% off their hats, and it's including their sale hats. So like, they have $9 hats, and it's 60% off that. And part of those 5 hats that I'm getting were 3 hats from the Sounds, and it cost me, I think, $29 shipped for 3 hats, which is pretty crazy. Another tool I use is on Twitter. I follow MILB Promos. They retweet or tweet about sales that are coming up or special events during season. They're great for Black Friday. They tweet every single sale that may be going on. Sometimes they're kind of late, but sometimes they usually get to it before everything goes away. But Black Friday and Christmas time, they'll always be on top of their game and be tweeting the sales of certain teams, the percentages, the codes, all of that. They'll be retweeting it. I waited too long. Yeah, I think you probably get it around, I think, about, $10 more or $8 more after shipping from the 51s. So lids wouldn't be a bad way to go on that. But yeah, some of those defunct teams, not defunct, but going defunct teams are doing sales right now to get rid of their old stock. A lot of times sales represent teams that are going to be rebranding or changing their logos or changing their hats, whatever it may be. So that's kind of something to pay attention to. If a team starts wiping out all their hats, it's like, okay, what are they going to do now? The Sounds are kind of interesting because they're selling all their hats at 60% off, every single one. So it kind of makes sense for them to get new hats. But I've heard they've done this sale before, so who knows? I think that's all I have to talk about, just talking-wise. But now we're going to swing over to the main part of the show. I'm actually going to get up and go to a different spot. We're going to do the reshaping and cleaning special part of the show. Don't know where to start, so we'll head over and we'll figure it out. So this is I'm just going to do it all in the sink and all by my sink because that's like where I do most of my restoration stuff. I've got a big bunch of stuff set up here. It normally doesn't look like this. Normally I'll put away. Usually do things one at a time. But so I got set up cleaning, reshaping, and some simple hat jacking. That's a big one people talk about. What's the best way to use the hat jack and how to make it more permanent. But I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just kind of give like a quick example. I don't have any dirty hats right now, so this is actually my baseball fall hat for my college. It's obviously not a fitted, but it's kind of dirty. Got some spots on it. And so basically what I do is I have, I think it's an old toothbrush. This is actually a dollar store toothbrush that I bought for this reason. Um, get a toothbrush, get some water, and just kind of give it a good scrub. And even just doing that, I don't know if you guys can tell, you kind of see that brownish spot already start to go away. If you have tougher spots, you can use like Shout or something like this. I have this Melaleuca pre-spot that works great. Just kind of spray a little bit on there on your spot, scrub at it, and that'll be turned white. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's already getting cleaned up. Now, honestly, this hat's more dirty than I would use for just spot cleaning. I would actually soak this hat if I wanted to clean it. It's just going to get dirty tomorrow anyway, so I'm not going to clean it all the way. But basically, I just fill up the sink with a little bit of detergent and some water. Cool water. If you use hot water, colors will run, especially on older hats. The newer ones are better about it, but the older hats will run colors. So if you have a red hat and it has white on it, the red will run into the white. So I tend to use colder water. That's the best way to do it. It's going to get your hat just as clean. But so basically what I'll do is I'll put the hat inside like this with the brim out, just so that the brim doesn't get all sopping wet and get deformed. For this, it's not really important, but for stuff like this, we want to keep the brim flat or have some structure to it. You really don't want to get it that wet. If it is wet, I'll get a little bit splashed, and I'll mainly do the spot cleaning on it. But yeah, I let it soak for 10 to 15 minutes like this, where basically the water's all around this, and then I pull it out and let it dry. I've had people ask me, for shape, like for sizing wise, how's that work? If you leave it out drying, do you have to put it on your head? If it's wool, probably just for, like, I'd let it dry for 20 minutes, put it on your head for like another 30 minutes, and just let it dry the rest of the way. That'll kind of like lock in your size and actually probably fit better afterwards. But for polyester hats, you're good. You don't have to do this. Now this is for regular materials. If you have like big face stuff or leather stuff, not really sure how to clean that stuff. That's not my area of expertise. You'd have to ask someone who is in that area of collecting. That's kind of something that I don't have to deal with. So I know you can restore the leather on that. There's some crazy stuff you can do with the leather hats. But we'll keep it simple. I actually just pulled this hat out of my closet. It's been one that's been out hanging up. I don't know if you guys can see. It's got some dust on it. A lot of dust on it. Because it's been just sitting there on a wall like this on a hanger. So I have a couple brushes to help clean these. This isn't really that big a deal. This brush I think is $5 from Hat Club when they have them. This one's a little bit more expensive. This one's got that kind of foamy brush. You got Lids to sell. Everybody sells these ones. But these are pretty sweet. John JB has a big one of these. I got a small one as a gift from someone. So you kind of just use the brush. Kind of self-explanatory. He's already talked about this before. Just give it a little good brush. I use these two for different reasons, different stuff. This one's kind of more fine when that one kind of gets the more bigger stuff off. And then if all else fails, dusting wise, and there's just straight up lint on it, I'll just go straight to the lint roller. And boom. No more dust. That's just kind of, if something's dusty, what I'll do. What's next? Oh, keeping on the cleaning topic. Another one is, I know everyone hates when they have white sweatbands. This is something I just recently discovered on how to kind of fix. Got a pretty cool hat here, Royals, 1999, turned out the clock. An OG, not the Lids Retro Collection. This is actually from 1999. Got all the cool tags in there. But this was actually, I don't know if you guys can see the sweatband. I posted a picture in Team Fitted before, but this was actually pretty, like almost this yellow inside. Not this dark, but kind of like yellowed inside from someone wearing it over time. And what I did is I took some water, mainly water, and a little bit splash of bleach, and sprayed it in there and toothbrushed it like I do with other spots. It's still got some yellowing to it. It's still not pure white, but it's a lot better. I could keep doing it and probably get it better, but I just don't feel like it right now, but I will eventually. I did this like 3 times, the whole sweatband, 3 or 4 times, and it did wonders. As you guys can see, it's pretty white. There is some yellowing still, but it's a lot better than it was before. So I know a lot of people hate white sweatbands for that exact reason. They get dirty. They look awful when they get dirty. So that's just something that I would use. You can pick up these spray bottles at the dollar store. Most of the stuff I have here is from the dollar store, except for like the pre-spot. You can get pre-spot at the dollar store too. So it's very inexpensive. So I just get one of these bottles, fill it up with mainly water. I'd say probably 3/4 or so, and then put a little bit of liquid bleach in there, and just kind of splish it around. And that way, just kind of keep it on the white stuff. I haven't really gotten it on the other colors, so it hasn't had the weird bleach marks on it. So it's been good like that. Reshaping. This will be kind of going quick here. How about a Tide pen? I've never used a Tide pen, John, just because I don't know. I just have done other methods. Couldn't recommend against it. Could recommend for it. So if someone has experience with that, I'd throw that in the comments. There's nothing. I've never really used it before. I've actually never had a Tide pen before, surprisingly enough. But that's just kind of what I do. Usually, I see the Tide pen for out situations. If you're wearing a hat all day, hat gets dirty somehow, it looks ridiculous. You can clean it real quick. But usually these hats don't leave without being cleaned. Like I don't wear them out if they're dirty, so I'll clean it beforehand, like a couple days. I mean, obviously I don't plan out when I'm gonna wear my hats, but I'll clean it beforehand. Reshaping wise, so I actually didn't really have any hats that have any messed up shapes that I thought. I kind of closed one of my bins wrong when I went to look for some hats today. I've noticed that I kind of squished a corner of this red Diamond Era. I don't know if you guys can see, kind of a little squished in right there. I'm just going to kind of show off how I reshape these the cheap way, not with a recap. If you have a recap, it's a lot easier. I think recaps are like $40, $50 if you can find one on eBay because they don't make them anymore. But this is my recap. So you have to be kind of careful with these, just because they're straight ball shaped, and hats aren't straight ball shaped. So what I do is you can use water. I use starch, a little bit of starch, not a lot. Starch. You can get it anywhere pretty much. I just spray a little bit on the spot. You can also use water. Water will do the same thing. It doesn't hold any better, I've noticed. I've done both. So there's both. Sprayed on there. And ball pump. This one's not from the dollar store. You can get them at the dollar store. This is like a $3 one from Walmart. So you just deflate the ball. I'm sure you guys probably know where I'm going with this. Deflate the ball. Put it inside. And you just pump it up until it fills out the creases or bumps or dents, whatever it may be that you want fixed, until it fills it out, and just kind of leave it. It might kind of bend your bill, but I can talk about how to fix that too. Pretty much trying to find a way to fix everything, so if you sell your crappy hat on eBay, I can make it look nice again. The only thing I can't fix is this. You have a buckram, so the inside of the hat, that's all beat up, and it's kind of separated, and it's not very structurally intact anymore. That you can't really fix. That's just kind of, it's not going to hold its structure anymore. The hat's kind of wasted. So there you go. Kind of see, this is a Diamond Era, so it's kind of more boxy-ish, if you can tell. But the crease is gone. I don't even know where it was again. I think it was over here. And you kind of leave it like this for overnight, 2 nights, however it may be, and it should be good. No, this is not MUSA DE. I wish. I love USA made Diamond Eras, but nonetheless had to have it. Big Mavericks guys, you know. But yeah, that should clean up real nice. Oh, this thing's got some spots on it. Looks like I'll have something to do after this. And then another thing that I would talk about with reshaping is something that's been happening a lot more with USA made hats is, like I said, big bumps, which I just showed you how to do. But one of these things right here, this is actually from my own doing. I kind of crushed it when I came back from Oregon. You get this, in some cases they're very minor, like this one is, and in other cases it's really big, is you get this lump behind the squasho, or whatever you want to call it. And basically you'll do the same thing as I just did, put it on the ball, spray some starch on the creases that you want to get out, But the next step I use is I'll get a towel. That's crazy. I'm jealous. But yeah, so you get a towel while it's on. It'll be on the bouncy ball. This is my extra one. This is a kind of crappy one, but these do pop every once in a while. I think I've gone through about 6 of them in 3 years, but they're $1, so it doesn't really matter. You can go grab another one. But I put it on the ball, blow it up until the crease is gone, and then I'll put a towel over the top of it, and I'll iron it out, actually. Use an iron and flatten the material out. Don't do iron on hat directly. It'll burn, leave marks. But you kind of put a towel over it, iron it out, and it should flatten out, and then you leave it overnight, basically. I don't really have like a set time, like 10 seconds of ironing, but I just kind of go at it until I feel like satisfied. Depends on what it is. A lot of times with the creases that you'll see right now, this kind of just blowing it up on the ball helps the creases inwards. The ones that come outwards where it kind of looks like a bump on the hat, you'll definitely have to iron it out, because this will only push out, it won't pull it back in the right way. But it will provide a backing so you can iron it out and it'll look good again. I've done that a bunch. That happens a lot. So you sit on it, get stuck under something, whatever it may be, forget it's there. This one actually is from Lids, Chris. I know about that. I got this before the sale. This is one of my favorite Copas. I crushed this one in my travel carrier. I put about 8 hats in it. I was supposed to put about 6. But yeah, I saw about that. That was kind of unfortunate. But the funny thing is, I get mad about that. Like, I hate when they ship in bags, but then I get them, like, I can fix it anyway. But it kind of pisses you off when it's brand new and your hat's already crushed and you got to do it. But I think that's it for restoring. Oh, bills. So what I do for bills is I have some, I'm not going to go find them. I have some jars full of, like, flour, and I get those out, and I get a cutting board out, and then you kind of put the hat, let me see if I can show it somewhat. You kind of put the cutting board on top of it, like so it covers the bill, and then you put another one right here on the other side to cover that side of the bill, and then I put the jars full of powder. You could use books too, just directly on there, something heavy that can apply pressure to just the bill. You'll put those on there, put it on something flat, put those on top of it, and it'll flatten out the bill, no problem. If it's kind of floppy bill, yeah, powder. It's like flour, brown sugar, and regular sugar. But I know some bills sometimes get floppy. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put some starch on the bill, and then kind of take a light iron to it with a towel over it, and then do that, and it should be kind of helpful. Once a bill gets super floppy, it won't really get back to being, like, to avoid it, lack of a better term, hard. But yeah, it'll help flatten a bill. Say if you have a bill, if you're not like me, I kind of curve my bills a little bit. This one's kind of more curved, but it's a smaller size. If you don't like that, you put it like I just showed, and you can flatten that out. But restructuring wise, I think that's it. Reshaping, rigid, that's a good term. Firm. But another big comment that's kind of not controversial, but kind of there's kind of two sides to it, is how do you hat jack? How does hat jacking actually work? In my experience, yes, but you have to use it correctly, if that makes sense. So I have a hat jack. This is from pre-Hat Club days, where you could buy them from like Western shops on eBay. I think I got mine for $12. So the key is so I know they have size ranges. There's a small, like a medium, a large, and extra large. You always want to get the one that's smaller, so it actually stretches it. So say if you're 7.5, there's 7.5. I think the medium is 7.25 to 7.5, and then there's a 7.5 to bigger, where it's like the cutoff of two sizes. You always want to get the smaller, because it'll actually smaller. I've always heard get the smaller, so it stretches your hat out more. No, actually the bigger. Sorry about that. Kind of confused. I just kind of drew a blank. But yeah, you kind of get the bigger one if you're in between sizes. I'm 3/8, so I'm actually right in the range of the medium. This is a 1/4. It was the last of my size until Lids restocked.
I heard the restock was Chinese, so I'm glad I got this. I know people don't care, but that's just something with the way my head's shaped. They don't really fit. So something you want to do is, the first thing I do when I get a hat that I'm going to hat jack is I will cut the sizing band. This right here is the sizing band. This determines if it's a 4th, 3/8, so what have you. Usually this is connected. This will be together. It won't be in two pieces, as you guys can see. I'll cut that, snip it. What up, Manuel? How's it going? I'll snip it with nail clippers. It's kind of a hard plastic type thing. Nail clippers, scissors, whatever it may be. And this prevents it from returning to size, because you can still stretch it with that intact, but a lot of times that will make it want to return to size over time. But the key is, yeah, show again, no problem. Okay, so sizing or sweatband, black sweatband. You flip it up, and it's this white band right here. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm trying to push it out a little bit. Where's my cut at? There it is. So see, there's my cut right there. It's this little white piece. If you guys all take your hats out, you can actually go see that there's a sizing band inside. And if you guys, sometimes if you look hard enough, you can actually see where the markers are for New Era to size it. And then you'll see that it's connected. There's an overlap here where they wanted it to be a 3/8 or a 4th. But yeah, I will cut that first, and then I will throw it on here afterwards. And what you're going to want to do, it's going to look crazy, but bear with me. You're going to want to crank it out to as far as it will go. And I know sometimes that looks crazy because the bill gets all bent weird. For people who don't like bent bills, it's okay. It will be okay. You can flatten it like I just said. It won't stay that crazily bent, if that makes sense. Still hat jacking here. So there you go, on the hat jack. It'll kind of pull the crown down, but don't worry, once you put it on your head, it'll be fine, because it's smaller. You'll fill out the crown easier. So all the way cranked up for the time being. So what I would do is I'll leave this overnight, come back to it, say tomorrow sometime, and I'll give it another crank, as much as I can. And then I'll leave it overnight. Do the same thing over and over for about 5 days, Monday through Friday, what have you. And that, you keep cranking every day, and that will make it really, really big, and when you take it off, it'll look ridiculous. It'll look basically the shape of this. Don't worry, it's going to shrink back. So you're going to put it on, and it's almost going to be like 2 sizes too big. Like, it'll be like a big 3/8. Like, whatever your size is, it'll be like the big size of that, if that makes sense. And then you kind of wear it around, and you can kind of, over time, you kind of feel it shrink back. But with the sizing band cut and the time that you spent, it should shrink down, but it shouldn't shrink down back to original size. It'll shrink back down to your size if you're wearing it. You don't have to wear it the whole time, but you'll kind of see that it'll be like hat jack shaped, and there'll be kind of a crease in it. But once you wear it, it'll go away. But yeah, so that's what I do for hat jacking. Every single time it's worked. Thank you to Anthony for actually teaching me that. A lot of this stuff is not acquired, but learned from people. The ball trick, I call it the ball trick. I learned that from Pancake. Hat jacking, I learned from Anthony. That's how to hat jack correctly, or more efficiently. The bleach thing, learned from Andy, Coded United on Instagram. And then obviously the cleaning stuff I've kind of just taught myself. Marin, I'm almost done. I think that's about it. If anyone has any questions, you can leave them in the comments on here afterwards, or right now if you're still watching. Or afterwards if someone watches, you can leave a comment and I'll try to reply. I think that's about it that I do for recapping. Shrinking hats. Shrinking hats is an interesting one. If it's wool, really easy. Get it wet a little bit. Not sopped. You can get it a little like soaking wet. It's up to you. Then you wear it. It'll shrink. Wool shrinks really easy. Now polyester hats, so stuff like this, polyester, the new material, whatever, Chinese, USA made, whatever. It's harder to shrink. It tends not to shrink. That's why the whole point why they switch from wool to polyester, so hats don't shrink over time. Yeah, I'm ready for hockey. I'm ready to be a basement dweller after today's trade. I'm a Ducks fan, even though I'm wearing a Bruins hat. Yeah, JB, sorry about that, man. I can't say I've ever been there before. So I feel for you, man. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, polyester. So me being in Arizona, it's summer. It's almost the end of summer, so this might not work for all of you. I will just take a hat. I'm not even gonna wear it. I'll just put it in my car. I might take the water and kind of give it a light mist over. And if I leave it in my car, say a day, it'll probably shrink down a little bit just from the intense heat in my car, and it won't be dangerous for it. I know a lot of people use the oven trick. The last time I did the oven trick, I actually separated the buckram in the inside from the front of the cap, so it's separated, so then the cap kind of lays back. It doesn't have the full structure, if that makes sense. So leaving it in the car is kind of a less dangerous way of doing that. It just takes more time. If you're in a cooler area of the nation or the world or wherever you may be, it might be harder for you to do because it might not get as hot enough needed to shrink the hats. Humidity actually helps. I think in my experience that when it's humid, where I've been places where it's been humid, the hats actually shrink with me wearing them. Wearing them will help hats shrink. But leaving hats in the car worked for me. I actually got a 7 5/8 to fit me, and I'm a small 3/8. By just leaving it in my car with a little bit of moisture for a week. Some people put them in Ziploc bags. You can do that, but they smell awful afterward, especially if you moisten them up with some water. Not necessary. It kind of shortens the period you leave it in your car. But I think that's it for me. I think that's everything I got. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll plug the other shows. Tomorrow we got the flagship Big Dave going up. I didn't actually see the football game tonight. No, it wasn't the Texans, but I always think of the Texans and then I think of football. But I didn't see the football game tonight. Then this weekend we got BQ with his weekend show. Saturday, I don't know if D-Lock's doing Saturday picks or if he's just going to do it as a Monday show. So either or, watch out for that. For the locker room with D-Lock on Monday. Tuesday we got the JB Interstate Report with JB. And Wednesday we got the worst show of them all. The worst collection Wednesday with Joe from Chicago. And then back here next Thursday with me. I'll try to keep it at 8:30. So if you're watching, I know we don't have a system to put out alerts for people who aren't team fitted, but I will attempt to keep it around 8:30. Usually won't be in the day. My shows will primarily be at night, 8:30, 8 o'clock Western. Western Pacific, Jesus. Rocking Me Fitted right now. I saw that. That's awesome. Looks great in blue. I'm going to have to hit up Leon eventually when I'm not have $30 to my name to get that set up. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great weekend, great Friday, and everyone remember, hats bring the world together. Take care, guys.